I'm not good. I am done. I'm done with people tainting, tarnishing my nostalgic childhood vision of what was once awesome. Like when I grew up, Motley Crue just looked like a bunch of hot chicks that did tons of drugs and released live records, right? But I don't know how old you were when you realized, like, listening to Livewire, if you have perfect pitch or even remotely close to pitch, which clearly I did it as a child, you realize that Vince Neil was never good. The whole band, for the most part, other than the guy dying of spina bifida, Mick Mars, who's like the old, like, what's up with that guy? I mean, I didn't need Machine Gun Kelly imitating Tommy Lee for me to know how cool he is. And I don't need anyone telling me how awesome he is, because I've seen that he's got a big dick, because, I mean, Pam Anderson, you know. There's a TV series, there's a fictitious book, there's all these things about Motley Crue other than the truth, which is that they're not any good. Blabbermouth every day keeps posting that they're playing like 40,000 people a night with Poison and Def Leppard and Joan Jett, and the only reason people aren't asking for their money back is two things. The fact that Def Leppard is freaking awesome, and Poison and Joan Jett, whether you like their music or not, still absolutely kill it. Vince Neil's supposed to be in shape, and then you see him and like, you're like, I know this guy's comorbidities just by listening to Girls, Girls, Girls. Do you think the guy that did more cocaine in the 80s than Elton John and Freddie Mercury put together and fucking killed the dude with his Ferrari remembers Girls, Girls, Girls? They gotta put it on the teleprompter. Do they really have 5 good songs? Do they? I like Home Sweet Home. Because first off, it makes Tommy Lee leave the drums, which is great, because then it looks like, oh, he's doing something. He can play, it's like fucking heart and soul, but it's good for you, Tommy. You can play a little piano. And Shout at the Devil? That sounds badass. But then you go and you watch them from that time period, and you're like, oh, I guess this whole trans LGBTQ plus movement was cool in the 80s. Oh, wait, that was called just being a dude on the LA Strip. And then you realize that, like, the girl you've been jerking off to in Poison Forever is actually just Bret Michaels. And he's like, oh, that chick now has a beard and a bandana and no hair. It's fucking weird. Motley Crue, get the fuck off stage. You literally signed a thing that says you weren't going to do this anymore. Kiss said they weren't going to do it, but they didn't fucking sign. If anything I've learned about Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, they appreciate law. So they know if they sign something that they're f***ed. I heard a story that one of their tours wasn't selling very well, so what they did is they recorded their keyboard player and then fired him the next night and piped him in as a backing track. That's heartless. Gene just didn't do any drugs. He's like, I'm just gonna steal all their money while they're fucked up and fuck their girlfriends. But they should stop now because they're clearly using backing tracks. And Paul Stanley goes like, you should really put on a live show and blah, blah, blah. If you're Kiss, there's no reason why you should be doing anything as far as backing tracks other than your keyboard player or like the intros to songs. Like, I get it, do that. But like when Paul Stanley moves away from the microphone and is not singing anymore, like I thought he was one of those 70-year-olds that's still good. Don't even get me started about Roger Waters. The hateful, angry old out-of-touch man as far as how much he like projects his shit at you. And I don't want to hear about his politics. I go read the fucking first review about this fucking hateful, anti-Semitic, bigoted, fucking big-headed fuckface named Roger Waters, right? And it's like, if you love Pink Floyd, but you don't like Roger Waters and his politics, you might as well bugger off to the bar. The last time I went and saw fucking Fakes McGee do his Pink Floyd thing, because I have to play it because I'm burdened by my talent and I'm a composer and I guess the people ask of me to play the songs that everyone loves, but I don't love them because I love nothing. I saw him do The Wall and it was fucking spectacular. So spectacular that I actually questioned whether this 70-year-old face is actually singing. The next night I got better tickets. Wasn't singing! Wasn't! I'm not even sure he plays his fucking bass. Yo, man, if you're gonna fucking show swastikas and shit on all these fucking movements and do all this fucking stuff, at least be badass still. Just stop. just like Vince Neil. The only thing that I can imagine is that they're literally one day just gonna fucking flip out on stage, and one of them is gonna fucking off each other, and it's gonna be the greatest documentary. They said they were over in 2007. They saw your thing. And then Mick Mars finally died. And then you see Vince Neil with his fucking new Ferrari. He drives it on stage, thinking he'd get to the stage door, but instead fucking hits Mick Mars. Just stop! And lastly, this is for you, Sharon Osbourne. Because I don't think it's Ozzy. Maybe it is. But it's you. It's you. I love you. I remember being a child and thinking maybe you slept upside down. Maybe you worshipped Satan. That maybe, Randy Rhoads, you traded your soul to the devil to get someone that much better than Tony Iommi. Like, how do you go and get a better guitarist, a riff guy, a fucking solo guy better than Tony Iommi? You got Randy Rhoads! And then, like, even though you looked like the chick from the Golden Girls, you still came out with fucking good albums. Then you get Zakk Wylde and Jakey. Let's not forget Jakey Lee. I don't know what's going on with him and Vito Bratta now. It's fucking weird. But, like, back then, Jakey Lee was the shit. And then you see the Osbournes. I want the dog. And then you find out the sad truth that Ozzy was a blatant alcoholic, and you're watching a family crumble apart, and that because of the excessive drug and over medication, which is also a problem here in the United States, Ozzy Osbourne looks like a fucking idiot. When all of my life I thought he was awesome, but yet they still continue having him go, and let me hear you scream. I love Ozzy solo trumps the Sabbath era for me, but like Ronnie James Dio, what a fucking singer. I found out that Tony Iommi had lymphoma, and he was only doing one show in North America with Black Sabbath. And I said, I'm gonna drive all the way the 1,500 miles to Chicago, to Grant Park, and I'm going to pay $7,842 to go see Black Sabbath. The band sounded incredible. Ozzy sang every single note. I want to say a half step off. Like, consistently a half step off. Like, I couldn't do it if you held a gun against my head and told me 50 virgins were give me $1 million. Couldn't do it. He sang so fucking wrong. Meanwhile, Geezer Butler's just playing all stoic, and Tony Iommi, and they sound awesome. They must know that he's singing Sweet Leaf totally wrong. So I got to like the third song, and I looked at my buddy who I'd driven to Chicago with, and I said, we gotta go. And I remember to go see Ozzy again, because I'm like, I'll give him another shot, because in the past, Ozzy's been like, from good to shitty to good to like, you don't know, like there's waves. Oh no, the wave crashed down, tsunami's over, and all it is just a bunch of dead animals and people and debris that once was the beautiful voice that sang Pocket the Moon. Is it Moon or Moan? I go to see Ozzy. It's Sabbath at this like last show they're playing in Boston. And it's the same thing. It's deja vu. I walk in and it's like, I think it's like Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, they're children of the grave. And Tony Iommi. Like, you gotta give these guys credit. Like, they're the greatest actors of all time, because they're just sitting up there like they're fucking murdering it. He's doing that fucking John Entwistle thing that he's doing. And meanwhile, Ozzy's just like, and he's looking at the teleprompter like holding on for fucking dear life. And I'm like, just stop. Leave the fucking old guy alone. What is going on? Listen, man, Phil Collins can't even play drums anymore. He's had like strokes or seizures or something like that. They wheel him on stage. They wheel him on stage, and he still sounds great. And he has his son play the drums, who sounds just like him. You could still do it. And you know what he said? I'm done after this, because he literally looks like Skeletor. And then there's one last one I want to talk about, because I have a personal fucking problem with you. You know, there used to be a joke. What's the blonde-haired guy that ruined Van Halen? Sammy Hagar. Sammy didn't ruin Van Halen. David Lee Roth ruined Van Halen. Not in 1983 at the US Festival, when he was like telling the guy that was giving him the finger in the front row that he's gonna bang his girlfriend, and then actually had security take his girlfriend out and probably banged her afterwards. I'm gonna guess he did. Not that David Lee Roth. Like when I saw David Lee Roth in 2007, he bamboozled me with my love of nostalgia of Van Halen into ignoring the fact that he wasn't very good and he constantly f***ed with the rhythm and didn't sound very good. But it was at a level that was like dialed in enough where like you're so happy just to see it happen that like, you know, it's like oxytocin. It came over you. You forget that like you just birthed a baby through that and it hurts a lot that you have love for Van Halen. And you're like, dude, Sammy Hagar's 86 years old and he sounds perfect and he moves perfect. Like he's like formaldehyde. Like all that Cabo Wabo tequila has like preserved him and his voice sounds awesome. So we're all those guys going, give me DLR. Like no, David Lee Roth, he won't even do a fucking tribute to Eddie Van Halen. You wanna know why? Because he didn't like Eddie Van Halen. And Eddie Van Halen didn't like him. And David Lee Roth doesn't like rock and roll. So just stop, David Lee Roth. And Wolfgang, if you can hear me, I love you. I never held the fact that you were in Van Halen against you. I thought it was great. But don't hold all of us Van Halen fans hostage. With David Lee Roth, we don't want to see him. Get me Sammy. Get me Gary Sharon. Give him a chance, man. And I know you don't want to deal with your dad's catalog. I know you don't want to be living under the spotlight of Van Halen. And I understand because you are awesome. You have your #1 record. I have it on my wall signed by you, Wolfie. I think you're awesome. You were great in Tremonti. But you're the gatekeeper. David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth. Vince Neil. Sharon Osbourne could send them off to that goddamn island in Italy where they used to send all the lepers and the fucking crazy people. Let them just fucking die. Don't beat them. Let them hear the fucking bell that rings on like the hour because it's a fucking haunted island. Just send them there. And don't make me watch those fucking bands because I got tickets to Tony Bennett and I'm stoked.
Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?